I'm Renata Brailovsky, and was born in Germany and escaped Germany in 1938, very, very late, and emigrated to Chile. And when when the right-wing military dictator was elected in Chile, we came to the United States with our 3 daughters, who live now all in Robin, around the corner from us. And I have been blessed with 7 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. So Robin is a wonderful place for me to live. I decided I have written a memoir for my children so they should not forget what has happened during the Second World War. So for tonight, I decided, with all what's going on, with the pain, with the war, I want to make you laugh for 5 or 10 minutes and forget what's going out in this terrible world. The name of my story is The Charles River. It was a pristine autumn day. Trees were bursting with fall colors, with red and gold leaves. Some looked like flames reaching for the sky. There was not a single cloud. Everything seemed perfect. I could not imagine how anything could go wrong. My younger friend had made all the arrangements for this 10-mile canoeing trip on the Charles River. She proudly told me she got a special deal for only $20 for the whole day, and I gladly accepted the challenge. Little did I know that it was not a guided, supervised tour, no one to check if everyone was doing okay. We were shuttled by a minibus to our destination, where the canoes were waiting for us. There were about 14 people. The majority could have been my children or even my grandchildren. That's when I got suspicious. We were given life jackets and a map. Another thing I noticed was that everybody except I were wearing water shoes. I had canoed many times before in the Charles River. Always wore sneakers, and there was always someone to help you get in and out of the canoe. Luckily, my friend was wearing water shoes and also was an excellent map reader. Both came in very handy later. God only knows where we would have landed if I would have been the map reader. Before our canoes were pushed into the water, we were reminded that we were responsible for our canoes and had to deliver them to a specified area, which was marked on the map. Once settled in the canoe, we started to paddle the 10 miles to reach our final destination. We both brought water bottles and some power pads. However, we were sure we would be able to stop halfway, moor our canoe, have lunch, use the restroom, and freshen up. After almost 2 hours of paddling and with nothing in sight, I told my friend that I needed to use a restroom urgently. Finally, after an incredible long half hour, I saw a boathouse. It was not a mirage. It was a real boathouse. A deck and a series of rowing boats. I saw signs for Noble and Greeno, a private school that many of my grandchildren attended. We were sure we could tie our canoe to the deck and get off. Surprise! Surprise! The deck was so high that neither of us had the strength to lift ourselves out of the canoe with someone holding the canoe for us. We tried, and we tried in vain. With all our movements, the canoe capsized, and we found ourselves up to our necks in the muddy river waters. We could not drown since we were both wearing life vests, and besides, the Charles River was not very deep in that area. At the top of my lungs, I screamed, "Help! Help!" Lo and behold, the coach of the Nobles rowing team and a student heard us and came out to help us. They said they had less than 5 minutes to spare since they had to coach the Nobles rowing team somewhere else. They helped us to get out of the water onto the deck, turned the canoe and retrieved the stuff that had fallen into the river. My friend's cellular had gotten wet and was in no working condition. It was completely kaput. I asked the coach to please lend me her phone just for a second so I could call my husband David. Speaking to him, I did not mention the fact that we were soaked and covered with mud. I did not want to frighten him, and I only described the beautiful scenery, the perfect blue sky, and the magnificent foliage all around us, an idyllic place. I told him not to worry because we might be delayed, because it took us much longer than what we had anticipated. We still had a very long distance to paddle before reaching our destination. I knew if I told him the truth, he might have gotten sick with worry. Once out of the canoe, we went behind the bushes, did what we had to do, and the coach helped us to get into our canoe. We continued paddling, completely soaked and rather cold, for another 2.5 hours. We were held responsible for our canoe and could not abandon it. As I mentioned before, my friend was wearing water shoes. They came in very handy. When we got stuck in a sandbar, she just rolled up her pants and pushed the canoe out of the sandbar. Resilience is my middle name. We finally made it to our destination. I was exhausted and dehydrated. I was afraid to drink water and needing to stop again. We finally arrived. The people that were in charge of the canoe were eager to go home, but could not leave before the last canoe had arrived. They asked us politely if we had enjoyed the trip. And I was very grateful that they did not ask us what happened. And of course I said we loved, the trip was wonderful. And that we were so proud of our achievement. In spite of the obstacles we encountered on the way, when I arrived home, I entered through the garage, very quietly, like a thief, threw the sneakers into the garbage and the rest of my clothes into the washing machine, put on some clean clothes, went upstairs to kiss my husband. Slowly, very slowly, I told him of our experience. I think that this experience taught me a lesson. Never assume anything. Always find out the details. Maybe, but only maybe, from now on, I will take into consideration my age and try for more modest and less challenging adventures. Comments from my grandchildren. Cool, very cool, Grandma.